Excuse me, I just saw you over there, and I had to come up and say I thought you look really nice. Like, you look like you're in like a happy Christmas mood. And like, I also found like this is really nice, like your bag has like little leather strips on it.
Okay, one thing that he's doing, which most of you aren't doing here, is really projecting. This is what I was talking about with you, Heldor. Is something you could incorporate into your game. This was cool about this sort of communal, us watching everyone else's footage. It's because we get different parts that we don't have, other people have, different parts that we have, other people don't. So it's basically about us learning from each other in this beautiful manner. And this is a case in point, you know, Heldor, if you could just have half the excitement, the forthrightness, the giving it to her no matter what sort of voice tonality he has, will do really well. Okay, so it's really good. I like it. You're really committing to this. There's no ifs or buts here, huh? Okay, well, let's see.
I don't know, just like it's like a horsetail on your bag.
Yeah, kind of like. Yeah.
What's your name? Jason. Good to meet you.
Yeah. Hi.
So what are you up to on this Remembrance Sunday?
Okay, so remember the pot, right? At least, we don't advocate asking a name, but at least she gave you quite an exotic name. It wasn't like Elizabeth or...
Well, she said Maya, and I felt like Maya Indians.
Well, there you go. What, like, yeah, because you look like a native Indian? You know, that's what I would have said. I would have just been, like, at least keep to the topic of her name being a little bit exotic, you know? If you're going to ask a question, no matter what you do, don't just divert to a whole new topic, you know? At least go with the answer, because, I mean, if I said, mate, oh, what's your favorite drink?
White Russian.
Well, actually, can we hear this? Give him the mic, so since he answered. Okay, your favorite drink?
White Russian.
Oh, okay. What's your favorite animal?
Hamster.
How was your day today? Yeah. So do you see what I mean?
So, yeah, as a general question, when somebody has unusual or exotic names, do you ask about what the origin?
Yeah, because it's a cool topic. It will let me know her background. It would let me know how her parents lived, and do you know what I mean? It'll give me a cool bit of information to tease on.
What if I ask like a mundane question if she spells it like M-A-Y-A or M-A-I-A?
But do you have a follow-up to that?
No, I don't.
Well, I mean, I would have said J-A. I would have said, is it spelled in a Scandinavian way, or if it's with Y, it's not Scandinavian. If it's with J, it's Scandinavian. Do you see?
I've never heard the name Maya before, and she did spell it with a J because she was from Scandinavia.
Yeah. See, because I don't know, Europeans, they don't have Y for some reason. Why is that? Dutchman. Why is that? Why is the first letter of my name so?
I have no excuse, I don't know.
They love their J's instead of Y's.
They have
So.
IJ.
IJ.
And they write it as a Y.
IJ as a Y.
Yeah.
Interesting. Did you actually have the letter Y? Never mind. I feel like we're going off topic.
No.
You literally don't have. In Germany, it's called Upsilon.
Yeah.
I know that much. All right. You do have it, but you never use it, do you?
Well, it never starts with Y.
But the Y could be in there. But there's like, all letters could be in an Icelandic word. That's one thing I know. It's world knowledge, mate. It's world knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Meeting a friend. Yeah. I just came from work.
Really? Where do you work? You, you're a hairstylist? Is that what they do there?
Jumping the gun. Just calm down. New look. That sounds like a hairstyle place. Why make it into a question? That could have easily been a very cool statement.
Yeah, I think that's one of the problems. I get nervous and I just ask question after question after
Okay.
question after question.
Fair dues. Well, you know,
You're going to see it doesn't work.
first phase of learning is knowing where you're going wrong. That's the first phase, okay?
No, it's no, it's I work in retail. Yeah.
Oh, so you sell people clothes.
Yeah.
Do you like your job?
Yeah.
You sound really hesitant on that, like, you know, maybe,
Yeah,
yes and no.
Yeah, I do like my job. I do.
You like your coworkers, but you hate your customers.
Yeah,
Sometimes,
basically.
sometimes.
Yeah.
What kind of stuff do they try to pull on you?
Okay, so at least you're being playful. One thing I didn't like is your investment level went way up. But it was still okay because you're in this attraction period where you're being playful. You're going, oh, you sound like you don't know really what you're doing. And, you know, you didn't sound too, like, high-pitched or anything, so it was still okay. But you did get a little bit too loud. But I like what you were saying, so that was good.
I know, this annoying stuff. Yeah.
Like returning stuff without a receipt?
Yeah, they do that.
What other, like they take out like 6 pairs of pants and then like they leave it all in a pile,
Yeah.
and then it's your job to fold it
Yeah.
back up?
Yeah, basically. Yeah. So what are you doing?
I'm visiting London.
Okay, well, at least you were talking about her job in a fun way. You know, like...
I did ask a lot of questions.
Yeah, you did. And again, you know, the whole job thing isn't the best, coolest topic. And you saw, she kind of nervously just went, oh, I want to move on from this. You're just reminding me of all the shit I go through as a sales assistant. As much as you had a good vibe, that's what saved it. Vibe trumps everything. If he said that in a, oh, so you just sort of pick up clothes people have left on the floor. If you said it in that fashion, then she probably, yeah, but I've got to go. She would have said that. But because she liked your energy and she was charmed by your presence, because you're a very humble, nice guy. We've all sort of noticed this, haven't we? And you genuinely have a good heart. You come from a good place. You're not overbearing in any way. And I think that's what these girls like about you. So they give you the benefit of the doubt, I think. And here she's, you know, she wants to move on from the subject, but she's just, you know, asking a question, which is a definite indication of interest in you. So, you know, well done for getting that, I think, you know.
Okay, where are you from?
Take a
Canada?
guess. No, I'm not from Canada.
US?
Yes.
Yeah. It's always US or Canada. Yeah. Where in US?
Virginia?
Okay. Yeah, I've never been.
Have you been to the United States at all?
Yeah, I've been to travel. Yeah, I've been on a road trip in California. I've been to Florida and New York.
I lived in New York City for 9 years.
Okay.
How did you like New York City?
I loved it.
So, okay, again, you jump the pot a little bit. Okay, not too much, because it was still about traveling, but you spoke about yourself where you shouldn't have. And firstly, she was talking about a road trip through California.
I didn't hear that.
Wow.
I didn't she mentioned that, and I didn't hear it except when she said on.
You weren't listening, and that's, you know, the art of a good conversation is first and foremost being a good listener. You can really genuinely take in what that person said and then comment on it, make a statement about it, tease her about it. So you could have said, that's such rich pickings, the whole road trip through California. You could have spoken about, like, I don't know, gambling exploits in Vegas. What does she do in Vegas? What sort of, she seemed like maybe...
Vegas isn't a problem, but...
Well, yeah, okay, fair dues. But did she say Vegas as well? I remember her saying, no, okay, maybe not. But you could have said, oh, did you go to Vegas? Did you get up to anything like, or was it just like you were being a good girl and getting up to a nice road trip? Or did you do some...
So, I get the sense that one of the things you'd like to do is figure out whether the girl is a good girl or an adventurous girl.
Yeah, the excitement part. Okay, like I said before, where does the idea of sex come from in her head? Is with someone who's adventurous, with someone who makes her feel good, with someone who makes her feel a certain type of vibration, not talking about her job endlessly in a way that she might want to move on from. So if you talk about subjects where you're like, oh, I could definitely see you just taking a detour on your Californian road trip into Vegas, you know, 2 days of mayhem, and what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Definitely, just by your eye, by your big sparkly blue eyes, tell me that that's what happened. Just something like that, something that teasing.
So you like to provoke girls into making them feel that they're adventurous.
Well, not just that. I think everyone has, especially like people with a sense of like she seems to have, like with a sense of adventure. Like everyone's got that streak about them. I feel the streak of adventure, the streak of like let's do something a little bit off the beaten track kind of thing, and especially Scandinavian girls. That's one thing I know. They have more of a knack for that than most other nationalities. So yeah, I definitely would have picked up. And again, what a better subject to go, what a better road to go down on rather than, oh, I lived in New York for 9 years. Did you like New York? Did you, I know, you know, like that seems like still related, but it's not really. That's, you know, you can hear from her answer, she goes, oh, okay, you lived in New York. I'm not really that interested because I love talking about myself like most people do. So you could have actually like sort of given her some more time to sort of explore that subject that she wanted to speak about.
Yeah, I only heard, like when she said that sentence, I only heard the last part.
Yeah, I know you did. Okay.
So I ignored what she said beforehand.
Okay.
It's a mistake on that.
Okay. Well, let's see more.
Yeah.
You saw Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, but I'm from Sweden, so that's like small town.
I never would have guessed you're from Sweden.
Why?
Because you don't really have much of you have a slight accent, but I can't really tell if that's like an English accent.
Okay, yeah, no, it's a Swedish accent.
So you must have been in London for a couple of years already.
2 months.
Really? Then you must like watch like English language television all the time.
No, not that much, but we study English when we were from like young age.
So how long are you going to stay here in London?
I'm not sure. Till April at least. That's when our when our house contract.
Oh, did you come with a friend here?
Yeah.
That must be really nice because you could chat with your friend. Like you're not like in like a foreign country like alone. Like you at least have one friend.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So yeah.
So you.
Okay, so I don't feel like this is going anywhere, to be honest. So many questions.
A lot of questions.
A lot of questions. Why do you think that is? Where's that stemming from? Do you know when you're doing it? Or is it just a matter of you panicking?
I think it's panic. Like I don't have anything to say, and my natural default mode when I don't have anything to say is just to ask questions.
Right, okay. Yeah, again, the topics as well. You know, talking about, at least, you know, you teased her about having one friend here, but, you know, I don't know, you seem to have these themes about accents and if she's English or not, or I thought you weren't Swedish because you have this accent, or I think you used that with another girl as well.
I probably would have done better if I'd opened the conversation and saying, like, you have a slight accent. I'm an American, so I can't quite place where your accent is from.
Yeah.
Are you from place X?
Yeah, that would have been a good way of doing it. But once you're in a conversation, I think what your main Achilles heel here is not sort of making enough statements. So you could easily turn questions into statements. I don't know if you know this. So say, where are you from? So you could, what's the opposite of where are you from? What's the, sorry, not the opposite, but in terms of if you divided you look like you're from this place, and you might guess, I don't know, somewhere like Croatia. You look like you're from Croatia. And the reason that's good is because most girls aren't actually from Croatia. And she'll say, no, I'm actually from this place. And it'll give you a sort of thing to go on. It'll give you the answer. Or if you're very observant and you've traveled a lot, like I have, because I can really tell a Scandinavian girl now, just because there's a certain prevailing style that happens in Scandinavia that I can tell But yeah, tomorrow we've got to work on this, like the whole questions thing. Okay, that has got to go, and it's got to be replaced by teasing. It's almost like your mind's set on this like question trail, and you just want to sort of get to an answer.
It's something I learned very early. I didn't know how to carry on a conversation, and so I'd ask my dad a question. He'd respond in like a factual manner, and then I'd ask him another question. He'd respond factually. I'd ask him another question. He'd respond factually, and he never told me, "Hey, stop asking questions."
Yeah, I know. When you grow up in a certain way, it's obviously hard to divert from that. But you know, this is why you're here. This is why we've got to show you this and go look at what you're doing, and hopefully we'll go out tomorrow. Not hopefully, but we'll go out tomorrow, and we'll make sure I'll listen to you via the lavalier mics, and we'll make sure that you don't repeat certain traits. Okay. All right.
Going to meet a friend now?
Yeah.
Would you like to get coffee sometime later this week?
I'm actually working all this week.
All this week?
Yeah, I'm working every day this week.
But after you get done work, I guess have a drink? Really?
Yeah. Yeah, sorry.
What time do you start work?
So this is what happens. No teasing, lots of questions equals this sort of response. It's like, well, you know, I've had about 5 minutes and you seemed really sort of into me, you seemed really interested, you had a good energy about you. Like I said, you are a nice guy who is never overbearing, you've got a good, humble way about you, and most people will take to you. Now, whether these girls take to you sexually or not is a completely different matter, right? But they won't be rude to you, they'll give you their time of day, and this is a classic thing where she's like, no, actually, when you pin me down for that date, no thank you. But it was fun, you know, you giving me this energy for a while. Because your energy was great, your effusion of yourself was great, you opened yourself up, like you were an open book, you weren't sort of filtering much, I feel. I think that's what you don't do, which can be a double-edged sword. They're not non-filtering thing. You can either just, like, you just come out with lots of questions and excitedly just express yourself, which the girl's actually quite okay with, because they're like, well, this guy's not thinking too much. He's just coming out with the first thing that comes into his head, as much as it is a question, as much as it is not teasing her and making her feel challenged by you, right? But the opposite argument is, well, that's what's happening. You're not really sort of like listening to her intensely. You're not following the pot of the conversation. You're not being mindful of the sort of subject you should be going on about. Do you see what I mean?
Yes.
And so those things are letting you down, obviously. But we've got another clip. Let's watch that and see how you go up next, because I think you did a lot better from what I saw.
Okay.
It depends, but yeah.
Like 6 a.m., 11?
Yeah, tomorrow I start 8 a.m., so.
8 a.m. to 10 p.m.?
Yeah.
Are they paying you overtime?
I think so.
Some, a little bit.
No, but I took extra shifts because I'm going home. So yeah.
So you're going to meet a friend right now?
Yeah.
Do you want to meet up after you meet the friend?
Oh, we're meeting up, and then we're meeting my coworkers who finishes at 6, and then we're cooking dinner at my coworkers.
How about we just exchange numbers, and then if you get like a free bit in your schedule?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Here, could you put in your number? And how do you spell your name? Because you can spell it a couple different ways.
Yeah, I spell the Swedish way.
I never would have guessed.
Yeah, it's always with a Y, so.
So I'm going to send you my name so you know who I am.
Yeah?
And don't say Jason. Don't say Jason.
Well,
Because
what do
if
Yeah.
say Jason.
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 Yeah. Okay, I really have to go, but really nice to meet you.
Okay.
Yeah, bye.
Excuse me. I just saw you over there, and I thought that you looked really nice.
Oh, thank you so much.
You died.
I love that. What I love about this is your energy. is just so calm and collected, and the way you deliver your lines and the amount of space you've given her. This is something that a lot of you are missing today. The amount of space, the amount of calm, the fact that you went straight in front of her, legs out, you know, no nonsense, just giving it to her like how it is. And that's beautiful. And you can see her response. You can see from her response, she's just completely charmed. It's really nice of you, man. Good work.
You have like purple hair dye. You like
Yeah,
dyeing your hair to
Yeah,
express your inner creativity,
I do, yeah.
and you have like a distinctive fashion style.
Great statement, noticing her hair and making a statement about that. That's what you were missing earlier with all your rapid questioning. So this is great so far. Let's see if you fall back on your old ways.
What have you been up to on this Sunday?
I'm just like, I've come back from Oxford because I
Oxford.
went to go and visit my parents at the weekend, so I'm just going back to like chill. Yeah.
So you lived in Oxford and you moved to the big city when you graduated uni?
Yeah, pretty much.
Did you go to Oxford for your college or university?
No, I'm at university now, so but I went to so
You look like you study English. Like you have this like English major.
Okay, good. You asked a couple of questions again. You're about to slip back to your old ways.
What question did I ask?
Well, you asked where's she from, and then she said Oxford. Or where have you been? I think you said, where have you been up to this Sunday? Which is definitely better than the thing you asked the Swedish girl, which is, where are you going? Where are you going? It's like, oh yeah, let me remind you, I'm just a stranger who's interrupting you. Let me take you out of this moment, by the way. Here, you're saying, oh, so what have you been up to this Sunday? And the way you asked it was quite nice. So she said, I've just been to Oxford. And then you asked a follow-up question about her being from Oxford or something like that. But then now you've moved on to a statement, which is what I like. Guys, you're allowed a couple of questions. I'm not saying questions are out the whole interaction. No, not by any means. It's about you being able to ask an interesting question and then a cool statement as a follow-up. That's the best way of doing it.
I didn't do anything with Oxford because I just thought like University of Oxford, and I couldn't assume that she was connected with there.
Yeah. Well, why should you? I mean, if that's all you know, though, about the city of Oxford, the university.
I could have said I don't know anything about Oxford except the University of Oxford.
You could have. But I think you did pretty well there, because you moved on to the fact that she might study, like you could have said, any number of things, but I suppose she was so well spoken and you sort of went by that assumption that she might study English. I really liked it. It was good.
Vibe to you. I don't know if what they call in the United States. We call them majors. What do they call them? Concentrations?
like degrees.
Degrees?
Yeah,
Am I right?
I think so.
You study English.
Oh no, I study French,
French.
but like,
It's very similar.
yeah, it's like mainly literature based, so yeah,
You like reading old French text?
sort of. I mean, I kind of prefer the like slightly more modern ones, but yeah, I mean we did like medieval French.
Medieval
but my
French.
favorite is Renaissance.
What I like about this is you're calmly listening and parroting at the same time, which is a very good conversational skill. So when she says something like medieval French, you're going, oh, medieval French, okay, because you've probably not got anything to say about it, have you? And the best thing you could do in that situation is just to sort of drink it in. You're going, oh, medieval French, okay. It's almost like you've never heard that sentence before. Do you see what I mean? That's very cool, and you're very calm and collected, and you're listening to her. And what I especially love is your posture here. You're gesticulating in a cool way, sort of your hands in your jacket, but it's coming out when you're making a point. It's very cool. Everything's cool about this.
Is what?
It's like the Renaissance French.
Renaissance.
Yeah.
Are you saying that like in a special way? We say, I say Renaissance. Like, is it? You're saying it with the French
accent. Yeah.
accent. So is that one like the subtle clues? Like if you meet a French scholar and they say Renaissance, you're like, oh, they're just like some American, like they don't know what they're talking.
Good tease. I really like that. Because you're making fun of the fact that she might be so French that she might not even say Renaissance in an English way, right? So that's really nice. That's a cool tease. And I think the whole vibe here, you're not being overbearing with your rapid questions. You're making a lot more statements, commenting on the last thing she said. And we're all noticing this, aren't we? And we're going, this is a cool conversation. This is like two people having a genuinely good, fun vibe together, right? Just because you're doing the things we've been talking about, you guys should be doing. Following on from the pot and not jumping around subjects, asking a couple of questions, not more. Yeah, so standing you in good stead here. I like it.
Talking about.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
So what do you're
Cool. I really like that pause there. You didn't panic. She was a bit befuddled by your comment. I don't know if you meant it, but I really liked it. It's almost like you said something so intellectual and profound. Just like, yeah, this guy, I don't know whether he's really clever or he has no idea about what I do and is asking such childish questions to the point where I just can't answer them. But either way, she was just like charmed by you, so it's good, very good.
goal is to be a professor when you're done. You look like you come from like a long line of intellectuals.
Yeah, no, my parents went to university, and like, yeah, I guess like I've been brought up in a very sort of booky kind of home, so.
Your parents had several thousand books.
I like this is not you, mate. What's going on? This is like a completely different person from the guy who spoke to the Swedish girl. You're making statements. Not only that, she's qualifying herself, and then I don't know if this sounded very teasing, like the way you said your parents have several thousand books. But I feel like you said that in a serious way, perhaps. But genuinely, it sounded like a good tease to us, right, guys?
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, very cool.
They'd have a considerable collection, let's put it that way. Like, their room is pretty much a library. Like, as in the bedroom, it's just, like, surrounded with books. So...
When I was growing up, well, actually, my dad still has a subscription to Granta.
Oh, okay.
Do you read that?
Okay, so you're talking about yourself again. Just be careful, just be mindful if this is indeed related. If you're going to talk about yourself, make it into a story that might be related to her world, she might be interested in, right? So if she loves skiing and you've just had an amazing skiing story, tell it. But if she loves skiing and then you tell a story about, I don't know, having an average day at work, then no, perhaps stay off that subject. Do you see what I mean? So even when you tell a story, even when you talk about yourself, make sure it's bloody related to what's being spoken about, like it is here. So this is, at least I think you're going to talk about literature here, am I right?
Yes, yes, but I was talking about English literature rather than French literature.
That's fine. You're talking about literature, which is still related to something she'd be interested in, because that's her passion, right? Okay.
It's like a literary magazine, like they publish.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'd also mentioned the New Yorker, but I don't think the New Yorker is big over here. My father's a history professor, so
Oh, okay.
he had several thousand books.
Yeah.
And I find I get in the habit of just ordering.
I think this is straight out of Anchorman, isn't it?
Just straight out what?
Anchorman. Have you ever seen that movie? Ron Burgundy. I have several thousand leather-bound books.
I saw the
My
first
name.
one when it came out 10 years ago.
Yeah, well, that was in the first one. That was in the first. Yeah. No, I love that. I just like the whole energy here. And even though you're sort of saying something like that, she doesn't know how to take it. I think she's a bit curious as to how, who you are here. You're keeping things a bit mysterious. You're talking about herself, her more than yourself. And I think, she's charmed by you. So, yeah. It's going well so far. Let's see how it goes.
Ordering books online, getting the books, skimming through them, and like putting them with my other book collection.
Yeah, no, I kind of did that as well because I ended up buying a lot of stuff by Simone de Beauvoir in like the original French.
Actually, this is very cool. This is how people relate to each other a lot of the time. You told one story about your related to literature as well. This is very good actually because I can't believe how much praise I'm dishing out to a guy who I just castigated the whole time on his last. Basically what happened here, you're telling a story about a subject that she close to her heart, and not only that, she then reciprocates with her own story. And this is really how people communicate. This is really how people connect, is through telling stories, you know. Oh, you went skiing. Well, this happened to me once. I went skiing and this thing happened, and then you tell another story about once this happened. And that's how we actually connect as human beings and as friends, if you think about it. So you're doing all that, you're pulling out the right moves here. This is cool.
But then, like, I had too much proper academic work to do, so I had to put them on the shelf for a while, which is very sad. But, you know, I hope I'll read them properly at some point.
Properly? You mean like from start to finish?
Yeah.
With the pen in hand for every single...
Every word that I don't understand.
That you
and
look
the
up?
interesting phrases.
So, sometimes like turns of speech are really hard to figure out unless you have somebody to ask.
Well, I'm quite lucky because I have like a French girl like living right next door to me, like in the next...
Great. No questions, just statements. It's great.
next room.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if I have a really hard, like, French phrase that I really don't know, like an idiom or something, which is really kind of, like, untranslatable, then she can help me out. So, yeah.
When I was younger, when my parents wanted to have a conversation that they didn't want me and my siblings to hear, my siblings and I, they would speak in French.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we love that. That's great. That's good on so many levels. Funny. Let's go.
Because they're both Canadians.
Oh, okay.
And you know, in Canada, they always teach English and French, so French is like taught as a second language to all the English speakers.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'd really like to go to Canada one day.
One day.
It seems like a really nice place.
It's a little bit colder than here. Do you like
I've heard
snow?
about that. Yeah.
You
Well, my dream, like, ever since I've been about 10, is to go, like, ice skating on a lake. Like, that is my dream.
in Ottawa, there's a river that runs through it, and when it freezes in the winter, people ice skate for miles, well, kilometers on end.
Wow. Okay, that is amazing.
I saw what passes for an ice skating rink here, like near. Sorry about that. Oh my God, I'm embarrassed. I don't know, near Royal Albert Hall. There's like a ice skating rink, but it's like jam packed, and there's like a.
That was the most epic recovery I've ever seen. You just poked someone's eye out, and this was such a smooth set. We could afford to injure someone halfway through. That's bloody impressive. No, again, you're telling a story like she said, telling you about her dream as a little girl. I mean, that's a big investment on her part, I feel. And then you're doing a very cool thing. You're, again, telling a story. As I said before, stories is how we relate to each other. You're telling a very cool skating-related story. It's awesome.
Like a half inch or like a couple like a centimeter of like water on, so like it's people like sort of like almost, you know, yeah.
I'm quite lucky because where I come from, like Oxford, we have a really good ice rink. Isn't
Story. This is, yeah, but this is very light, cool rapport. It's still sort of like, it's like attraction bleeding into rapport. It's not heavy. He's not asking her about where does she want to end up in like 5 years or anything like that. It's still quite like two people just like, this is actually still slightly more in attraction than rapport. You know, especially with the amount of like teasers he's been coming out with, you know. Yeah.
They don't really seem like teasers to me. Like this is like the type of girl that
I know they don't. See, maybe this is something you need to become conscious of then, because this is you genuinely being in the moment, and you know the whole idea of picking up on the fact that she might be she said she's bookish, but this whole idea of her having lots of books and growing up around books, and you just sort of made good statements, and you made a few comments that were amusing, perhaps not full-on teasers, but amusing, like teasing her a little bit in the fact that you're accusing her of like having several thousand books, and perhaps not being like, I don't know, very literal in her work when you said, oh sorry, when you made that grammatical mistake. You said me and my dad, did you say?
Yes.
And then you, oh sorry, my dad and I.
Well, no, I said me and my siblings, sorry, my siblings
Yeah,
and I.
and you did a really cheeky little smile. Of course that's a tease. If you don't recognize a tease, come on. Do you see what I mean by that? It was very dry humor. It was very wry. Yeah.
I feel like she's she's like intellectual, and she has certain traits. And I grew up in my dad's an intellectual, and I guess I've been primed to like be able to deal with an intellectual.
Yeah, but that's...
I was embarrassed about making the grammatical mistake.
You were genuinely embarrassed.
Well, I wanted, if you said me and my siblings,
yeah,
I'd put your intelligence in one box, and if you said my siblings and I, I'd, think
no, but that's just someone being pedantic, I suppose. That says nothing about intelligence.
Well, knowing the rules of grammar and using them in
but that's
everyday
like
life.
Being a SWAT. That has nothing with intelligence. That has nothing to do with, someone who's street smarts is a lot more clever than, in fact, a lot of, Steve Jobs dropped out of university. I'm not saying, making money is the height of intelligence either, but what I'm saying is intelligence really tricky area, like in terms of measuring it by all that. I'm just challenging it, because I suppose that's I don't look at intelligence the same way you do, perhaps. We all have different ways of measuring intelligence. But you mean she's well brought up, and she's been brought up in a bookish household, in a lovely lovely part of England, and she's had a good upbringing. But it did come across as a tease, because it was like, oh, you'd probably castigate me for that if I don't correct myself. So you self-corrected, and it came across as a tease. But what I'm saying is, if that was accidental, make that part of your repertoire. And what's funny is, I really believe you feel on very solid ground here. Because of what you said. This is a really, really important thing you have to understand here. Why do you feel on such solid ground with this girl?
I like her. I like this type of girl.
This type of girl. What? The type that grew up in a similar household to you,
yes,
with similar sort of parents, similar background. Now, what does that say? You feel level, on a level footing with her. So what does that say about the whole idea of talking to a girl? That if we feel on the same level, on the same intellectual basis, on the same ground as her, that no more, no less, humble, beautiful as her, we will connect. There's no doubt about it. But we have to genuinely feel it. But if we don't feel that way, what happens is we either work too hard, or we dismiss her, we look at her in a perhaps derogatory way, she feels that. Do you see what I mean? That says a lot about the whole idea of what we're doing. So if you can muster that same energy with every girl you approach, imagine the results. This is a completely different person to the guy who 10 minutes earlier was speaking to the Swedish girl and was being a bit of a, let's face it, fish out of water. Right? Okay.
Like, if you go on certain sessions, like, you pretty much get the ring to yourself, which is really nice. But yeah, like, I'd really love to, like, experience skating where you just, like, go and it's,
And
like,
go,
not
and
anyone
go.
there, and it's just kind of, like, going on forever.
I think one of the things that England also doesn't have is downhill skiing.
Yeah.
You kind of like,
That's sad as well.
the United States has like more like outdoor adventurous type stuff. Like we have real mountains. You guys have like fake mountains.
Yeah, we have like, I don't know, like our mountains are just really rubbish. It's sad.
Rubbish. That's a Britishism.
Yeah.
Like it's if you hear someone use that word, you know they're British. Like
Yeah.
we say like poor or trashy or whatnot.
I think there are lots of words like that. Yeah, rubbish is probably one of them.
I was confused by the word uplift.
Really?
Yeah, and it means like increase. Like it didn't occur to me that
Do people use that word?
This is cool. This is now into just authentic communication where you're genuinely like, yeah, this happened the other day, and then she's responding, and it's all statement based. No one's really asking needy questions, and this just feels like if we cut into this, and this is the essence of it all, if we cut into this, we wouldn't think that these two have known each other or have just met like 5-10 minutes ago. We wouldn't actually think. We'd think these two have known each other for quite a long time.
Yeah, my friend said he had like an uplift in his salary.
I've never ever heard uplift being used in that word, in that fashion.
Okay.
Interesting.
Maybe it's just him.
Maybe it's just like a certain London dialect that I haven't come across yet.
He's from Texas, but he's been here 10 years.
Oh right.
I think he's really smart in his own way, because he went to architecture school in Brooklyn,
Oh right.
and he took out a bunch of student loans, and then instead of paying them back, I'm sorry, no. And he moved to London to get out of his student loans. Like it's kind of clever in a way. Like
Yeah.
he's raised by a single mother in Texas, and he's
That's pretty good.
so I haven't seen him in 10 years. So I came in. He's really excited to see me.
After 10 years.
Yeah.
This bit, where are you going with here? I could get the uplift part, because you're talking about different words, different cultures. You said that was a Britishism. I could get that part. What is she doing with this information of you knowing this guy for 10 years, and you haven't seen him for 10 years, and he's from Texas? She doesn't know this guy, can't relate to you on that. You could have just very briefly summed up this whole long story. Yeah, well, a mate of mine who I've not seen for a while used it. Maybe he's picked it up somewhere. I don't know. He's actually originally from Texas, but maybe that has something to do with it. I would have even thought that's too much. That's the short version of that. But if you are going to go there, be that brief. But even that's too much, because I would think, in what way is this related to what we're talking about? My friend from Texas, who I've not seen for 10 years.
I guess I was just rambling, but
Yeah, you are.
I think it's kind of interesting how he gets out of his student loans. So I don't know. It's an
Yeah,
interesting.
but to you, sure.
You're
And you
right.
didn't even go on about that. You just went sort of about knowing him for 10 years and how you haven't seen him for a long time yet. So there's blind alleyway here, right?
What type of thing would you have done?
Oh, that's a really interesting subject where you touched upon just a bit before that, the Britishisms that you've come across.
Do you
Yeah.
do language stuff like
yeah,
different
yeah. What other funny stuff have you noticed about
car park,
car park? Okay. And what else?
food? I mean, the fact that they call it underground, I want to say subway.
Yeah.
The fact they call restrooms either loos or toilets.
Yeah. And then, I don't know, what are the other funny ones? There's lots of... Yeah, fag is always quite a funny one to an American. Period.
Chin wag as well.
Or having a chin wag. Yeah, but that's not proper English, is it? Yeah, certain things we use. We always, whenever I'm in America, I love keeping on to that subject. It's such an interesting sort of contrast between our cultures, and it's always a good topic. And it's always, if you can, this is what's good about traveling as well, you get all these funny stories that you can have up your sleeve that you can sort of always come out with, and a girl will always be immediately like having a good time with. So like with Australians, rooting around is basically someone who sleeps around. But if for an English person, I was rooting around it basically means having a rummage, which sounds quite rude actually, but just having a search for something. I was rooting through my bag. To an Aussie, it means something completely different. So, you know, there are all these, rooting about for an Australian means just shagging around, basically. So we go back to the video. Yeah, let's go back. But just, again, you've got to think, where is the subject taking me? That's what you got to think first and foremost before you go down it. Is this subject really related? Do you see what I mean?
No, it's not.
No. There you go.
We're chatting here. Would you like to go for like a cup of coffee or a drink?
I probably better head back, I guess, because I have like lots of reading to do tomorrow. I'm like.
So, this is interesting. At what point do you ask for a coffee? After that ramble?
I see what you're saying.
Do you see what I mean?
I don't.
At a low point, you ask the most demanding question of her. Very bad idea. You always ask for something like a coffee at a bit of a high point when you're both connecting. I bet she would have said yes about 2 minutes ago. But because you went on that sort of non-squitter ramble, yeah.
Pretty much like this far into the W. And
Into-
it's like
into-
it's this book by Belzec.
Have you read Pierre Goriot?
That's what I'm reading at the moment. And I'm like this far into it, and I'm supposed to read it all by tomorrow, and I'm like, oh my god, I have so much reading.
Oh, look at that knowledge. Again, what we say in the attraction bit is having knowledge as a man, having just genuine worldly knowledge is amazing and is like really, really attractive to a woman's ears. And look at that coincidence. Why did you ask if she knew about that particular person?
Pierre Goriot is the only Balzac that I've read. Like, she mentioned she was reading Balzac or like something.
Okay.
That's the only Balzac I read. And I was reminded about it a couple of weeks ago because I saw a fiction writer give a lecture, and he mentioned Pierre Goriot as one of the books he found interesting.
Very cool. So you clearly are someone who genuinely tries to sort of enrich himself with culture, and look at that, and that girl's kind of seen that side of you now, and she loves it, you know. Okay.
To do. It's crazy. And like my first lecture tomorrow is at 9 o'clock, so I have like between now.
Are you
and,
giving the lecture or are you attending the lecture?
I like to attend them.
Okay.
Unless I like seriously oversleep or something.
Are you sure we can get like a drink and, you know, just chat for like, you know, 30 minutes or so?
Oh, half an hour. Okay.
Okay. I'm not. Let's go around the corner here.
Okay.
Now you ask for an instant date on a high point when you're both really connecting.
And it works.
Amazing, right? What a contrast.
Yeah, it's like not less than 30 seconds.
It's night and day. There you go. Well, listen, we're going to go out tomorrow and we'll more of that, a bit less ramblingness and, you know, more clever ways of, you know, going about the conversation and picking your, the way you ask for an instant date at the right time. I think that's something you could really improve. But again, where the difference was with this girl is that you felt on an equal footing to her. You didn't feel lesser or more, or you just genuinely felt like this was a person you can genuinely connect with. And if we could do that with the girls we approach tomorrow, that would be awesome, okay?
Okay.
All right, sounds good. Next, baby.